All right, separate traders, welcome on back here this Tuesday. As always, Post Traders Talk Edition Tuesday, April 19th, of course, the date. Great to see Gary and Patrick and all of us here live inside the Cyber Group room. And if you're joining us back once again on social media, welcome back. Welcome on back as well, Facebook Live or YouTube. All right, so let's hop right into it, folks. As expected, it's been a long day of talking. I got a scratchy throat already at this point, so I appreciate you kind of bearing with me here across the next 20 minutes. But, hey, for right now, the SEV trade on the screen to begin, I really didn't have much business with this trade today. It made a really nice run, not to say that I didn't like it. I felt like I got there way too late. I just wasn't able to take advantage of it. I didn't really look to follow it as much after, but Gary ended up just jumping in and out just now for about like 20 or 25 or so cents. He was in from 785, if I'm not mistaken. So nice exit, and even furthermore, better looking now. It's actually shaking right back down to where Gary had gotten in from. But yeah, from the morning, this one ended up making a pretty nice run, or perhaps I should even say late morning, early afternoon. But ended up making a good pop. From 550-ish, ended up making a nice pop from 550 upwards towards of 750. Then from there, built a nice trend up off the lows, made a nice run up close to 9. Right now it's clearly trending sideways in a bit of a consolidated range. Lower highs, higher lows. With the volume dropping off on this type of stock, I would expect a bigger drop off with the trade itself later on this afternoon. Let's take a look. Prior to today, the stock was trading about 500,000 shares on average. That's day to day. Today it's trading just north of 77, and that's right now. I'll probably finish up, regardless of how it does, of 80 plus. So, right now, this type of trade is more exhausted than anything. It's got to really show a nice pop, from this point for me to be like more convinced on a, bigger move collectively across the next, 75, 90 minutes here. Let's go right from top to bottom, though. Otherwise, the CMPI trade, I think this was on the gainers list to begin. If it was a buyout, maybe. Yeah, skip over it then. All right, cheapy here, but TBLT, I did skip over this when I went through the morning meeting for Fausto. I think that he should be on tomorrow morning, and he's got a bunch of things going on, so he'll tell you all about it at least tomorrow morning, I believe. But, I kind of skipped over this when I covered for him this morning across the gainers list. It's below $1. I'm not really that convinced on any stock below $1 unless it's really making a big move in front of me. But, this thing ended up making a nice little pop after the open, then pulled back down. That's pretty much it. All right, much needed water break in between. We keep it going, though. PTPI had a really good pop, though, after the market opened up, though, and ended up making a pretty good move collectively from 120-ish upwards towards 175, 180. So, yeah, right now, again, pretty flat here for the afternoon, but keep an eye on this maybe tomorrow. Keep it on your side list, perhaps. We'll see how it performs here, but now the STSS, man, I mean, it's not surprising to see it where it's at right now. It's not surprising at all, but you're hopeful. You're hopeful for another run up here heading into the afternoon. I just didn't get it, of course. So ended up treating us really nicely right out the gate this morning when the market opened up. So, we took full advantage of this trade right away. But, from there, it ended up topping off right around 360. We ended up selling this trade around 311, 334. And then from there, left a little money on the table. But, it's all right. Gave us actually a second win opportunity when it had pulled back down towards 3 here. So off the breakout going up, and then off the test of support coming back down here led to a few good day trades, right? That's all we care about. So with that, hey, treated us really nicely from this morning. But hey, I mean, once it's making lower highs, if it's not going to break any higher, and just like I talked about before, I think it was on the other trade that we started off with, the SEV, but once the volume dies off, typically so does the trade itself. So, this is a prime example of that. But, you're hopeful to see maybe a second win bounce right off that 250 level. 245 was the opening print. Just didn't get it. That's all. All right. Oh, and might I say before I move on, for all of us on YouTube and Facebook Live, I want to say this once at least for this meeting. But we did cover this trade inside our live Traders Talk workshop. That was our weekly Q&A that we hosted just this morning at 11 o'clock Eastern. So for Nina and Leda and James and Chuck and Ray and Bill and all of us live here, I mean, just to say, I mean, you folks all took part in that. The recording of that workshop should be on the student dashboard of our website later on this afternoon. All right. Thought it was a pretty decent one, if I must say so. I'm typically my harshest critic, so I thought I got a couple of good points across. I can't always say that every week, but this one in particular I thought was pretty good. LLAP, getting back to the gainers list for right now. Hey, it's just over the bare minimum volume that we look for at this point in the afternoon, this point in the day. So trading just over 600,000 shares. Cheap stock, it's up big, So I like all of that. It actually does have a pretty easy to read resistance, easy to read top. So that being off of 5, there's actually a bit of an iceberg order there for about 11 or 12,000 shares. So you know what? I wish this thing was definitely a lot more liquid. It's been a long day talking, but LLAP we will at least put on our watch list to begin. Axsm. I mean, this one pretty much went as expected in the sense of volatility, paper thin order books. So, given the price, unless if it makes a really defined trend up or down, just like the STSS trade, then I would be interested. But if not, then otherwise I'd pass, and that's what I did personally. I didn't really focus on this as much. Led to a little drop off this morning from 41 down to 38. Held a higher low and began a nice little bounce back up from there. So I'd be more interested in this trade if the order book was a lot more liquid. But I don't know, for the price, I'd pass. I'd rather trade Twitter, which is making a hell of a move right now. Actually, just over the last hour, even 30 minutes here recently, we called that out. All right, stock that we also called out, the SBFM trade. This one we ended up calling out just off the pop prior to this meeting beginning. So, hey, this one looks as good as any stock that we could find right now. So, obviously when it goes on the top of our list, the SBFM, it's one that we're really familiar with. I have no idea what the hell's going on with the daily chart, but it seems like every day or every other day there's some sort of move for us to capitalize on this trade. So, right now, obviously, with this moving up, we're going to put it on the top of our list. But yeah, you do have a 30 or 31,000 share order on the Ask sitting there at 450. So just keep that in mind. All right, keep it going, folks. CRGE, Charge Enterprises. I haven't really seen this stock before. Pretty interesting. I guess it doesn't really trade a whole lot of volume. That's basically the reason why. I don't know. Maybe they're an EV stock, perhaps. I'm just shooting from the hip with that, with the company name, Charge Enterprises. But interesting move, on the chart. But again, it's just got such a huge spread. So, if you're trying to gamble, please be my guest. But for hopefully all of us, but I'd say about 99.9% of us inside the live trading room, I'd say that we're not really here to gamble, right? All right, we keep it going. MDVL, as I kind of nicknamed it now, Medieval, Med Anvil or Med Avil Holdings, but ended up making a great pot for us heading into the early afternoon. Even from the morning, made a good little slingshot there, roughly off of 2. That was actually a pretty good trade from 2 to 230, but more so, we had called it out off the afternoon breakout there suddenly. I don't personally know if there's any news on it. Just for right now, I'm just going to be efficient with my time here. But, right now, at least pulling back down towards 250, also pulling back down towards the VWAP area, 247. So really active stock. I like it. We'll hope to see it bounce from that 247, 250 area, heading into this afternoon. Keep it going, folks. Nrsn, I did want to click on quickly, but CYRN first ended up making a great run. We ended up calling this one out a little bit more later on into the morning, like off 10:30, 10:45 time, as it ended up breaking above 3. So even from there, I mean, a little late to the party, but able, still grab a good piece of the action here, right? Can't say that for every trade, but nonetheless, this one ended up maintaining its trend. In fact, I think it's accelerating off its trend, popping from 3 upwards towards 350. Then from there, not only came back kind of back down towards that trend off the lows that you could see, but broke higher. But again, like at some point, the train's got to stop moving in that direction. Not every stock's going to continue to move up perfectly and up and up and up, or vice versa if it's a short. But for this one here, the volume died off, much like the SEV trade, starting to die off, much like the STSS trade, which already died off. So that's where we got a little. That's where we got to be a little careful on that stock. You're heading into the afternoon. CYRN. All right, let's see what else we got here in the meantime, though. If there's anything else that we could at least add to our list, we have the SBFM, we have the LLAP trade, which really isn't like the best pick. Like, we'll jump back to that even at the end, but from where we started, that one looked all right. But SBFM, MDVL, I think those are 2 good ones at least to start with. Let's see if there's anything else otherwise that can kind of be added to that list. The plug trade, I was pretty convinced earlier in the afternoon for it to make a really good run off of 28. It didn't make the move at the time. I ended up taking an 8-cent loss here heading into the early afternoon. It was on a smaller share size. Reduce the share size when you're trading like during chop crap hours. It's not really beneficial for you to load up on shares. You do that during prime time, 9:30 Eastern upwards towards like maybe 11 o'clock, the latest. Then from there, you scale down a bit. But even for this, it's more expensive for what I typically trade anyway. Not more expensive, but pretty much at the upper band. So I'm doing 500 shares, normally on this type of position anyway. So, it took an 8-cent loss, and with that, I mean, hey, it's actually still holding strong. So still remains really tradable. Maybe I was there at the right place, wrong time, but we had a ton of buying off that 28. So, if it's not a matter of then, perhaps maybe it's later on this afternoon. So plug, I definitely, I think could, be a good stock to follow here. All right, time 2:43, folks. Let's hop on over to the losers list. We do have party here, which I guess I'll jump to here at the end, but not really doing a whole lot. All right. Got warrants, got a bunch of crap hard to borrow, got ETFs. I don't mean to sound lazy here, folks, but really, unless if there's anything that like got smushed, got crushed down like 35+%, maybe this SST. I don't want to be fully ignorant of this trade. Yeah, this thing is not looking good. All right, so I'm going to pass on this. I don't really see much else that looks too much of a familiar name. GFI. Not really a familiar name. It is shortable. It is at the lows, and I'll tell you what, everything else checks out pretty good on this stock. Wow. And not only that, I mean, perhaps it could DCB here heading into the afternoon, dead cat bounce. I only say that because looking at the daily chart, it recently just broke under a pretty significant support level here from the daily. So let me just try and line that up properly here. That was over the last few days. Do it off this low. 1458, the low here. I know it broke lower the day before. 1460, 1464, 1461. So I'm thinking 1460 is a much stronger chart level based off the lows from the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Perhaps it could dead cat bounce back up there, or otherwise, it does look as if there's a lot of volume filled recently on this trade about like 5 or so minutes ago. Do a little old-fashioned tape reading. That's what we specialize here at Cyber Trading University. So, here at 1443, 1442, perhaps that could have been someone smashing the bid and just trying to just short a ton of shares right off the bat, expecting a much bigger drop-off heading into the close. Should that have been the intention, well, they're off to a good start. But, otherwise, though, I would definitely keep a good eye on that 1442, 1443 price to see hold as resistance at first. If it snaps right back above this price, then you should try and think about, maybe the dead cat bounce, the return back up, perhaps up towards 1460-ish here heading into the close. But with where it stands right now, it is shortable, and if it holds that price as resistance, that could be a pretty good short. So, yeah, keep that in mind. All right, cool. So at least one from the losers list. See if there's anything else looking good. Market's on the way up. So, there's actually a few stocks right now that are pushing up higher as we speak. Uh, I am in one trade right now. I ended up closing out on Twitter just before, which I will jump to in a bit. But I got out early on a trade that I will show. Took a tiny profit on it, but now it's pushing up higher on me. I normally don't trade this stock, Lucid LCID, only because normally it's hard to borrow for me on TradeStation. So as it was dropping off like the last however many, can't really take advantage of that. So I was following Neo, following AMC. Where's my guy for AMC? But nonetheless, DraftKings, Robinhood, those are my side list stocks that I love. Lucid, I would put in there if it could be shortable. If we could follow it on the way down. For right now, maybe this is the beginning of a really nice bounce back up over time. So with at least where it stands heading into the afternoon meeting here, it's up 4+%. It's not up as much as some of the others, but looks really good on the chart. The Neo trade, I mean, come on, I'm in Neo. Wouldn't miss Neo for 1,000-year lightning storm. So, I've been trading this from the morning. I ended up doing all right on it off 19, and then from there, though, I ended up getting chopped around a little bit because I was looking to try and short it. I thought it was moving up way too much, and I got chopped around on a couple of tiny trades, but it's just to say, man, this thing ended up holding really well. I had a level on my chart off of this 1965 pre-planned heading into the market open. That was a big print level that we had back, I think, a few days ago on this Neo trade. So it's to say, I ended up jumping in this trade prior to this meeting beginning. I went under and over that 1965. So I'm currently in. I'm doing this from my house, two separate platforms, computers right now on my main trading platform that I'm trading off of. I'm long right now from the 1965 level. So I'm looking for a squeeze up off this price here heading into the close. But Lucid looks better. I'm gonna put more of a focus on Lucid for you folks. Hey, if Neo runs up for me, God bless. But I'm not gonna put Neo on the main special list. If anything, actually, where's my AMC guy here? Because AMC made a really good squeeze going into this meeting. It's up over 7%. It's at the highs now. I was kind of crapping on AMC at the end of yesterday's meeting because, I mean, let's be honest, it was like watching the grass grow for what it normally could do. So this looks more up our alley, right? This is something that we could really take advantage of. At least looking at this trend, if you're looking for a similar move here heading into the close, or if it ends up topping off here, perhaps if it is a shortable stock, which it is on my TradeStation platform, that could be a potential move on the way down. And, for right now, let's respect the uptrend, of course. But at AMC, I definitely like here. I'll put this on our main list. Then Twitter. We ended up seeing some news come out. Like, I don't know what happened here. It's like a delayed reaction. So, pardon me, quick water break as I go through this. But basically, Twitter shares ended up falling a little bit this morning. When going into the market open, like CNBC report, blah blah blah. But from there, we ended up coming out with a New York Post article or report saying that Elon Musk is scrambling to find backers for Twitter takeover. That came out at 12:44 in the afternoon. Oh, shoot. You know what? Actually, pardon me. This even backs up my story, I think, a bit better. But maybe this is a typo from Benzinga's end here. I think it's a typo from their end. They say 12:44 a.m. I think they incorrectly. That's p.m. Either way, 12:44 p.m. That's like right here. So why was it such a delayed reaction? That's my question, right? It's like Fonzie hitting the jukebox to get the music going there. A little delayed reaction there. Yeah, I have no idea why else that ended up happening the way it did. There's no other headline that came out after 2 o'clock or around 2 o'clock Eastern time. So one of our members, one of our students here, Patrick, ended up just calling it out here, saying it got crushed. Well, pretty interestingly enough, when Twitter ended up dropping, where is it? DWAC ended up popping, right? What the hell's going on here with this, right? I don't have any correlation, any headline with this. I thought that there was some sort of little move together with them maybe like a couple weeks back, but there's nothing else otherwise that came out. So, or at least as far as I could see. So, either way, both seem to be very active here for this afternoon. Then I'll put both on our list: Twitter and DWAC. DWAC is like that Trump social media stock, so it could be something to do with that, or Republican Party, whatever it may be. Not gonna bore myself, let alone you folks, with the news on it. I care more about the levels. So for Twitter, at least, if we can jump back to that briefly, I'll be honest, DWAC, as much as I just put that on the list, paper thin order book, not a fan of that really. Twitter, just as far as a more liquid trade to follow, definitely more tradable in that regard. So for the afternoon here, I was looking for a potential resistance as this ended up dropping off. I can't tell you that I ended up shorting it from the 47, but if you did, that would have paid off pretty handsomely. Support becoming resistance effectively here. I was a little afraid of Twitter making an even bigger squeeze up at the time. I went long on this off of 46.75, and I ended up getting out under 47. But I thought it was going to squeeze up even higher, and I was thinking maybe by the time I came to this during the meeting that it was going to test upwards towards the trend line again. Perhaps a false breakdown type of move, and then from there the bulls to run it up. But either way, just given the activity here for this afternoon, Twitter, the DWAC stock, I don't think the others like Fun or what was the other one? BFRI. I don't think those are related to it. LLAP related, asks Slata. I don't know, but LLAP, the more we check back in on this trade, just coming back to it, yeah, this one's looking a lot better now from where we started off on it. So now trading a lot more volume, got the extra push that we wanted it to have. This is a daily chart that we have on the top right side of our screen. But if you look at it, you happen to see resistance where it ended up bottoming out. That's pretty much around like 650-ish even here. 660. And it's a ways away from that point. So there's no guarantees for it to get, all the way up there. But, there's not really much looking at the historical chart here for LLAP. So definitely focus on iceberg orders more so than anything. That's always our bigger focus, following the big money. All right, folks, voice wasn't really that as scratchy as I thought it was going to be, so I appreciate you anyway. All right, so hey, for all of us on YouTube and for all of us on Facebook Live, if you wanted to join us later on this afternoon, just go right to this link here on the banner below. The previous link there would have had you join us for our trading room on a trial membership. But if you wanted to join us later on this afternoon, I know that Markay Latimer will actually be coming on our network here to be doing a webinar herself. I want to correct myself, at least from this morning, Fausto. Not doing a webinar today himself. Markay will be coming on our end to present if you wanted to join us there, if you feel more than free to do so. But otherwise, though, Fausto will be presenting himself, I believe, this Thursday. All right, so I just wanted to correct that briefly. All right, folks. Otherwise, I'll tell you what, Neo trade pulling back down, the one I'm in. So I have my stop set pretty much right where I got in from, a couple pennies under. I'll just see how that goes. But otherwise, not a bad list here heading into this afternoon. The MDVL, the SBFM, I like the most. Twitter trade, definitely I like. AMC, I'm a fan of. I mean, that's like one of my favorite sideless stocks. So actually that, alongside the others, I'm like really a fan of. But, there's plenty of other opportunities here elsewhere. So LCID, Plug, GFI, the others. So I look forward to it. I'm going to jump onto a coaching call with one of our students. Rich will be on just briefly here at 3 o'clock. I'll tag him out at 3:30, and then I'll wrap things up here for us heading into the market close. I'll talk to you all soon.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9.